Possession crucial from this. How much longer will the referee allow? Dublin lead by a point, and there's the whistle. It's over. It's over.
We earned it by winning the last 2 matches on the road, and that's not going to be taken away from us.
But what I love in hurling, I love players that will never give in.
He hits it. He hits it. It's over the bar. Oh, holy Moses.
Hello everyone and welcome along to the RTÉ GAA Podcast. Hurling gets the spotlight this weekend. We're delighted to have Anthony Daly and Ursula Jacob with myself and Rory to look ahead to it all. 3 games in Division 1, Wexford, Kilkenny, Galway, Clare and Limerick, Tipp. And let's start with that Wexford, Kilkenny one, Ursula, because, I mean, you know what the situation is in Wexford better than anybody, sitting in the middle of it, seeing what you need and knowing that points have to come from somewhere. The sight of a Kilkenny jersey coming at you must just do something to Wexford people. I don't know what it is.
Well, yeah, if you look at the kind of intense rivalry from the last few years, especially, you know, there's been really only a puck of a ball between Kilkenny and Wexford. And even the league game last year, you know, it was a drawn game in Nolan Park. And I remember it was a ferocious battle. And I expect there's going to be a huge crowd in Wexford Park Saturday evening. You know, there always is between the two teams. And obviously, I would feel that it's more of a must-win game for Wexford to kind of get maybe the confidence back, you know, to get 2 points on the board. You know, 2 weeks ago when they played Cork, it was just a disaster of an opening game for Wexford. You know, they've had a combination of injuries, retirements, guys missing. You know, obviously the boost that we have, Leach in is back. You know, he's back in the country and he's training. That's a huge boost. Rory O'Connor is going to be free to play, you know, after suspension, and a few of the guys like Jack O'Connor is coming back. But yeah, it's going to be a huge test for Wexford, and it's one that I think first of all they'll be focusing on getting a good performance in, and then hopefully a positive result as well. Because after losing the opening 2 rounds, you know, there is that little bit more pressure on them now to get a good performance and then hopefully a win too.
I did see when a couple of those people were coming back, the likes of Lee and all you mentioned, it did have a sense of a bat call coming from Keith Rossiter saying, lads, we need to get everybody back as quickly as we can because they have been struggling without that leadership. Yeah,
and any team will struggle when you lose guys like Matthew O'Hanlon, Dee O'Keefe, Lee Moog, McGovern. Like, they were 3 massive leaders for Wexford over the last 10 years. And it was nearly like you were trying to, some of the younger guys that were coming in, you're trying to maybe encourage them to become the leaders, and maybe it's a little bit premature with some of them. You know, they haven't that a huge amount of experience, so it's great to see the likes of Lee back in contention. I don't know, will he feature this weekend? It might be a little bit soon, but I'd say they'll probably be aiming towards maybe the Clare game as maybe a chance for him to get some game time. But like, we're still without Liam Ryan, Conor McDonald, the Wreck brothers, Kevin Foley. Like, these are all guys that, you know, start on the Wexford team. And Wexford is a county that can't do without 5 or 6 of their starting team because it's cutthroat in Division 1. We all know there's 2 teams going down, and already Wexford are on the back foot after losing the opening 2 games, really.
And that's probably why you'd feel a little sorry for Keith Rossiter, Dalo, because like the hand he is being dealt is an incredibly difficult one.
Yeah, and a great achievement, I'd say, Jack, to get into that top 7 last year. And we remember some of the performances that they put on, and I thought it was a fantastic start for him, no matter what way the championship went. And then they got to the quarterfinal as well and put up a very good battle against Clare. And, you know, you really put them in your dealt a hand like he has been dealt in the last couple of months. It's very, very difficult. And Ursula has outlined. And look, definitely we know their best forward. I suppose Chin arguably is, but Rory O'Connor is one of the best forwards in the country as well. And he's available. So that's a help. Jack was back. That's a help. But you're facing into a Kilkenny team that probably be smarting a bit from last week. They came to Ennis and dug out a very good win. And then when you saw Cody putting them a point up with the goal, 8-9 minutes to go, you said there's only one result here, but credit Galway. They showed the fighting spirit to get the last 4 scores. And I'd say Ling he'll be giving them plenty of it this week. So, yeah. But unusually, the matches that we've all predicted as neutrals anyway, that Kilkenny would be beating Wexford, and Wexford have some record in the last few years of upsetting the odds. So I wouldn't rule it out, but on what we know of what's available, and Kilkenny looking strong enough with what they have available. Are they doing a Shane O'Donnell with TJ Reid and saying don't bother with the league? But that's usually not their way. will they have one or two more faces back as well to be stronger? You find it hard to see Wexford getting a result, even though Wexford were way more spirited against Tipp and never give up the ghost. They did a bit the first night against Cork, and that's a good sign that, if he can build on that again, it could be a cracker of a game live on the TV Saturday.
It's a different kind of challenge for them though, Rory, because of that pressure that they're under. And as Anthony says, Kilkenny are looking strong. I know they'll have been rattled about what happened last weekend, but I thought the previous week against Clare, I thought they looked excellent.
Yeah, there's been a lot of away wins. I don't think teams seem to be too bothered about travelling as well. You've seen some significant away victories already. I think the other thing that maybe was slightly unfortunate from a Wexford perspective, I thought the way the draw worked out was a little unkind. Their break week isn't coming until after everybody gets a break, their bye week, sorry. And then obviously Cork, Tipp, Kilkenny in their first 3 games. That was a tough start. I know people might argue the toss on the quality of Tipperary at the minute, etc. But it was still a tough opening 3 encounters that, you were very bereft in terms of an injury status. And I suppose maybe having that extra week in there, if their bye week had come a bit earlier, it might have helped them. But I think, look, Daly mentioned the performance. Now, I only saw the highlights. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to watch it back in full. But I thought they played, from what we certainly saw, played much better against Tipperary. I think they'll always rise their game with Kilkenny coming to town. There should be a big crowd live on TV, as Daly said, on RTÉ on Saturday night. And I think we will definitely get a response. Will it be good enough? But both teams will be going in looking for a response. I think the big thing for me across the board so far in terms of hurling, and I would be interested in everyone's views here. I think there's a great honesty in the hurling league again. Yeah. I think the contests that we've seen so far, okay, the hurling isn't champagne, but it's January, February. But the contests have been full-blooded. The contests have been, proper competitive hurling, really good battles. Nobody wants to go down and play Division 1B hurling, because even if Wexford are one of the teams to go down, you could possibly argue it will still set them up, I think, for a pretty good championship to be playing at this level right through the spring. And I think the new hurling format has been one of the big wins so far this year.
Yeah, because we remember, Rory, as well, there was a couple of years there, Limerick, when Offaly were only a Christy Ring team. That was the last match they won to stay up. Yeah. Another year, Clare beat Westmeath and Ennis by a big score.
But they'd be bothered.
They lost the next 4 games, I think. Just knew they were safe. So there's ferocious jeopardy this time around, and I think it's way better for the competition.
What do you think, Ursula?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think it's a huge positive the league has been so far, as Rory said, and Daly as well. It's that jeopardy there with 2 teams. No one is safe. You can see that. The quality might not be 100%, but everyone is giving it their all. They're, there's that honesty that I love. As the guy said, even if your hurling is not at the top level right at the moment, and the conditions are so tough, everyone is still honest in their effort, and that's all you can really expect from anyone at this stage of the year when the conditions are not ideal.
Yeah, well, look, it may not be champagne hurling, as Rory said, but I do think the closer we get to it, that championship intensity is ratcheting up week on week.
Like Jacqui on that, actually, and that's a very good point. By the time we get towards the last round or 2, imagine how significant some of those games are effectively going to be knockout games in a round robin format, which I think is a fantastic development.
Yeah, and by the way, I think hurling needs this, Rory, because of all the furore around football and the new rules. It seems to me that is all the talk, whereas actually hurling now has stumbled on a perfect system that seems to actually really work, where league drives straight into championship, and that intensity is just going that way. I think it's going to be brilliant. I really do, over the next few weeks.
And you even look at Division 1B, the competition there as well. To get
exactly. There's loads of topsy-turvy results, Ursula, isn't there?
Yeah. No, I think it's been great. What about the other games this weekend then? Anthony, I'm curious to know, how do you feel the All-Ireland champions are sitting? Obviously, after having a weekend off, you kind of get to assess and look at the situation. I wonder how they're settling and how they're feeling now a couple of weeks back in.
Well, you got the right 2 guests on anyway, because the Slaney siders are missing a few, but we're missing more, I'd say, at this stage. Even saw Mary I lost their Fitzgibbon crown last night. No Adam Hogan, no Shane Meehan. And would it be knockout? There's no question that Brian Lohan was saying, you're not playing. Be interested, obviously, Saturday night to see, do they feature? But I wouldn't say that would be... look, we were very unlucky not to get a result against Kilkenny. A draw, like I don't take it a hand off you, because we went down a few points and we rattled off 4 in a row to go 2 ahead, and I said we're going to win. But then they finished with the last 4. But very close to being a draw with effectively only Cathal Malone and David Reedy of the outfield team that started the All-Ireland, which is, okay, fair enough, Ever was in goal, but that's a fair stamp of what's there in terms of a panel. Now, will that be good enough to go up to Salthill on Saturday night and beat a Galway team who could reintroduce, we'll say, Darren Morrissey, Pádraig Mannion, Gavin Lee, Conor Cooney, bring on Dahi Burke and Jason Flynn? And will that be strong enough? That team, they'd want to play every bit as good as they did in Ennis and a bit with it. So that's the problem for Clare at the minute. There's so many guys.
Do they care though, Anthony? Because if you look at the way they treated, maybe not. But even in middle of the road, would they be grand? Kind of not getting into a league final.
They'd be quite happy not getting into the league final. I'd say. I'd say they'd have a little break as well. Then before Cork could come to Ennis, you'd probably have 4 or 5 weeks, which would be very unusual. Like if you weren't in the league final, because there's no semi-finals. Remember. Yeah. But staying up though, you're looking at, the Kilkenny game. Officially, I don't know what the attendance was 8,000 and something. You're going to have Cork coming to Ennis in a few weeks' time. I think that'll get 10, 12,000. But it's the same. But it's it's a key point, and it's the same for all the counties, isn't it? In 1A, your gate is going to be dictated by the quality of who you're playing and the level that you're playing at.
Yeah,
and that should be rocking as well Saturday night. I mean, it is live on the telly as well. But Saturday night at 7:30 in Salthill is not something any of us are used to, but they have their fabulous new lights there now. So people, I think, will travel because you won't have to get through a busy Galway city to get across to Salthill on a Saturday afternoon. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of a turnout. There's good old rivalry built up between the counties. And just the personnel. Will we see Tony Kelly? Will we see John Conlon? Because in that match, the last day you saw David McInerney going off with a hamstring. Even though he had the weekend off, he won't be back. Also, Conor Lean had to be taken off, holding a groin, it looked like. So, it's not poor mouth out of me, but what I'm hearing is there's no chance of a Peter Duggan. There is no chance of a Conor Cleary. So, straight away in the full back line, if Lean is missing, we're down to, and Hogan is missing, we're down to the bare bones. And I like the guys that went in and played. I mean, Darrell Owen went back full back for a finish and did really well. John Keneally came on and sub. Played really well, but I'd say Galway seem to be getting a little bit stronger. They'll be buoyed up with a huge win in Nolan Park, and it's a tough one, I think, for our lads after the break, and it's just getting bodies back on the field. Will Kelly, as I said, Will O'Donnell, not O'Donnell because he won't play, but Will Kelly, Will Conlon, will they be able to play and make up 7 or 8 regulars at least?
Do you think there's a knock-on effect with the O'Donnell situation in terms of just how eloquently he's put it, Dalo, that he does seem to have made such a good case for it that surely the lads he's chatting to, even in the panel, are thinking maybe he's onto something here.
The most unbelievable part is that Lohan allows it to happen because one of his previous predecessors, Mr. Lucknan, certainly wouldn't have let you say it. Well, he wouldn't let me anyway. But I think there's an understanding that Shane knows the body. The physios work closely with him. Like when you saw him last year, I think the first match he played last year was coming on at half-time in the league final, and the shape he was in, incredible. So look, round robin in Munster is tough goal, and we need him for that.
Handy one to start in the round.
So we'll be looking forward to that. I was in Páirc Uí Chaoimh in those fancy seats on Saturday night. And upstairs in the premium, they're all having their dinners and their glasses of white wine. And I said, when you come to us, lads, in a few weeks, forget about the white
You'll
wine
have the flasks.
The pig's feet, I said, the bottle of cider.
Oh, they'll get a great welcome. On Dalo playing the poor mouth there, Ursula, you know, no more than yourselves. And I do think he's doing a good job of it, but like
He's doing a better job than me.
League and All-Ireland champions, Ursula.
Yeah, exactly.
You're bringing them all back into the country.
He does make a point, though. I mean, it is fair because, like, I know Brian Lohan, obviously, he has the All-Ireland medals in the back pocket. It's nice to be able to sit down and say, okay, maybe we don't need this one either. But at some point, he is going to want to start introducing them back into the fold over the next few weeks because the championship is upon him and he will want to see, what have I got?
Yeah, and like definitely towards the latter rounds of the league, it's getting closer and closer to the Munster round robin game. So like he's going to want to see, you know, what he has available, what's the best kind of 15 to start, what's the best players that work together. And I suppose I do like his attitude that he said in advance to the first round, that like he sees it as an opportunity rather than a concern, that there's guys missing, there's injuries. It gives some of the fringe players a chance, like even some of the guys that came on the last day, Keith Smith, Paddy Donlan, like they chipped in with 2 or 3 points each. And that's what you want the strength and depth, because in the cutthroat of championship, when games are coming thick and fast, you can't just rely on 15 players. It's going to be the extended panel. Guys are going to get injured, unfortunately. And you need to build that kind of panel like Limerick have in the last couple of years, and Clare are definitely building a really strong panel as well. So without a doubt, he'll want to get some of the big guys back, you know, in the next couple of games. But it is a good opportunity for some of the guys who have been thereabouts the last couple of years, giving them a chance to perform in these conditions against some of the top class teams in the country. So yeah, look at poor Clare and all that, but. Yeah. You know, I'm sure Brian Lohan will be looking to get some of these other guys like Tony and John Connon, etc., back in the next couple of weeks. But you would probably expect it's going to be a difficult game for him in Pearse Stadium against Galway.
Yeah, because I actually think, in fairness to Micheál Donoghue, Rory, he has actually found a few players. He has been able to knit through, like, of all of the teams, I actually think he's managed to find a little bit of a nucleus of something he can work with immediately.
I'll be honest and I'll be straight up. I had not heard of Declan McLaughlin before last Sunday. I had heard of Gavin Lee. I think it's an interesting choice there at 6, which is definitely a problem position given Gerard McInerney is no longer on the panel and they've lost 1 or 2 other key leaders within that group. I think from what we've been told in advance of the league, the net was cast far and wide. Dalo would probably know more about this than I, but there's always plenty of hurlers in Galway. They have a very, very vibrant club scene. They are always extremely strong underage. So the talent is always there. I suppose from Micheál's point of view, he was going into a team that had probably reached a natural end in terms of its cycle, and it's about building a new team now. And like, I would not have expected them to go to Nolan Park last Sunday. Looking at the way they performed the week before against Tipperary, how limp and how almost devoid of personality and spirit they were in their first outing under Micheál coming back, to actually get rolled over in the way that they were against Tipperary, and then to go down to Nolan Park of all places and play that the way that they did. I would say he hopped onto the bus to come home to Galway later that evening. And I think if they can build on that again this weekend by getting a good victory at home, actually, even though the two are in separate provinces, there's a good rivalry between Galway and Clare, always has been. A really good game, actually, and it'd be one that I would love to see.
Yeah,
pitch is the only thing, Jacqui, with it.
The pitch is in shocking condition, isn't it?
2 weeks ago, obviously, and that has hopefully the 2 weeks has helped. But I just liked the way they won it more than right. They were 8 points up and they looked like cruising here, like in Kilkenny. I thought it was so flat. The next thing, of course, in typical Kilkenny fashion, they rattle off 1-6, and that could have been 2-6 very easily because Owen Cody's goal, he had nearly a replica chance 2 or 3 minutes earlier, saved. And you said there's only one winner from here, and they were the team. I think that's what thrilled him going home on the bus to Galway Sunday evening, that they really showed courage to say, no, we're not going to just accept to be rolling over here in the last 8 minutes. And some things are beginning to fall into place. I think Gavin Lee might be the answer to the 6. I had said since I saw him for Loughrea, Tiernan Killeen at 11, loved it. I think Tom Monaghan's best position is midfield. And what a lift in the likes of Pádraig Mannion back in the side gives him. He's a top-class inter-county man. And they're beginning to take shape already, if you like,
Yeah.
because Whelan hasn't really hit form yet. We know he usually does. Conor Cooney the same way. So Declan McLaughlin, Joe would have spoke quite a bit about him to me. He's obviously Portumna as well, Joe Kenning, and Joe would have said fierce potential. It's can he take the step? But you see him getting 2-2 in Nolan Park and played well.
And Mikey,
Yeah, played well for Mary I last night as well. So they're never too far away with having strength and depth.
Yeah, they're definitely finding their feet. I think maybe Tipperary have probably surprised a few people, Ursula, as well, in terms of that. You look at them, 2 wins on the board already. I know they've got Limerick this weekend, which is a completely different proposition. But I think maybe quietly, even just chatting to Shane McGrath on the pod and off the pod, there does seem to be an understated optimism in Tipperary that has not been there, certainly in the last 2 years.
Yeah, well, I think maybe the last couple of years there's been quite a bit of negativity around Tipp and the Tipp players, and are they good enough, and can they realistically do well in Munster and beyond? And I suppose they probably couldn't have asked for a better start to the league this year. A massive win against Galway like a couple of weeks ago, scoring 325 up in Pearse Stadium in those conditions, was really top class. And then obviously had a good win against Wexford the last day as well. But a few things for me, I think, there's a nice mix between the experienced players and some of the younger guys. Like obviously Darragh McCarthy is catching a lot of people's eyes. Mm-hmm. Even his confidence in taking the penalties, he just steps up nice and coolly and slots it into the back of the net, and he's done that now in the last couple of games. And then obviously you have the experienced guys, and even Jake Morris, I think, is showing huge amount of leadership again. And it's something that Tipp will need, because it's nice to bring in these younger guys, but at the end of the day, when you're coming up against a team like Limerick, or a Cork or a Clare down the line, you need those guys like the Jake Morrises, like the Jason Ford standing up. And even the midfield pairing has been really impressive. Willie Connors and Craig Morgan. We're more used to seeing maybe Craig Morgan in defence, but I actually think he's thriving off the kind of space and the running game midfield. And I think himself and Willie Connors have worked really, really well at midfield. And I think it's going to be a really interesting battle against the Limerick pairing on Sunday. Obviously, Will O'Donoghue went off injured. Maybe he won't feature, but you have, Adam English there. You could have, who else for Limerick as well around the middle of the field. So I think it's going to be a really interesting game for Tipp. It's been so long since Tipp have beaten Limerick in League or Championship. They're surely, they surely owe Limerick one at this stage, and they'll have memories of the last time they've been down in the Gaelic grounds was not a happy experience for Tipp. So that'll be in the back of their minds going down there on Sunday.
Yeah, I guess it's just the key is, have they come up that far, Anthony, that they can genuinely compete with a Limerick?
Yeah, and I think, I was down there on Monday in Tipp and met loads of Tipp people, and there's a genuine kind of sense of wait and see.
Yeah.
We'll know more next Sunday,
Yeah.
They're fit, they're in good shape. Always Liam Cahill teams, they've an extra bit done in terms of the way he pushes them and that. Ursula's all the positives. Morgan to midfield for me is a huge one, and I think Mikey Breen likes playing back. If he can be the man marker back there and allows Owen Connolly to come out, there's not a lot of teams playing 2 up front, obviously. So this will allow that sort of thing to take place, that Owen Connolly can drive forward and he can score from distance. And you have to say he's got debuts. I think 4 debuts on Sunday, and really Oisín Donoghue from Cashel really caught the eye for Cashel's run through Munster last year into the Munster final at intermediate level. So a lot to like. I have never seen John Kiley as animated for a National League game as Saturday evening, being up close. We were in the soft seats, obviously. Jesus, they were wired on the line. I didn't want to be losing to Cork 3 times in a row, I suppose, in the space of months. But
yeah, they probably deserve to win the game, actually. I wasn't on the pod on Monday. Or Tuesday, sorry, Dalo, but neither were you. But I actually thought Limerick were the better side in the end for a finish. And I know a lot of people talk about freeze and this and that. I don't really get too bothered about that type of stuff. That's just the nature of it. But I think in an overall context, I thought Limerick were the better side. And I think that's probably what'll please him in one sense.
Yeah.
But,
I think what pleased him most was, he got a bit of time in here and there. I really like Barry Murphy at cornerback.
Yeah.
No, I had Barry when he was a minor, and he was always the corner forward. But we've seen that happening with lots of guys. Barry Nash, right back to the time of Pat Fox, went the other way. It has happened. I liked Kyle at centre back once he got into it. It took him a few minutes to get into it. Once he got into it, he was a driving force. Now, they lost Gerard Hagerty, they lost William O'Donoghue.
And the William O'Donoghue one is an interesting one, Dalo, because...
And they lost Jeremy Burns.
Yeah, but the
and
William
Sean Finn. Well, whether that was tactical or not, he didn't come out for the second half.
I don't ever remember William O'Donoghue being injured, and for him to walk off, and you could see he was slightly limping on that left leg. And listen, we know he's a tough boy, right? So if he's going off hurt, there's a good chance he's really hurt, right? So that would have me a small bit concerned, because he is such a key player for them. Like,
it was nearly a turning point in the game. You could feel the Cork middle area fellas kind of, and that includes now the whole half back line and the whole half forward line, including the two midfielders. You could feel all those fellas more comfortable, because he's
not there.
He's hooking. He's
getting tackles in. He's just done. Yeah.
The other thing I noticed about them as well is, like, they look really fit as well. Obviously, they weren't in the All-Ireland, and I'd say holidays were curtailed a bit. They did have a break, I know. I mean, they did a record break in Munster Championship 6. But Cian Lynch's level of fitness and the way he lasted the whole 79 minutes?
Yeah.
He kept going for Rory.
I think the clock hit 80 at one stage. I was watching online.
Yeah. But like he'd be thrilled with some things, and he liked nothing better than the Tipp boys coming to town, because there still will never be any love lost there. And I think this will be a good test. Liam Cahill will know more when he's heading home on the bus, I'd say, because Kylie, if he's missing those three big guns, and Sean Finn maybe, and Limerick, if Nash is injured and Sean Finn is injured, Rich English is gone now, it can be a bit thin on the ground. So this Barry Nash experiment could be crucial, and maybe him picking up a Darren McCarthy could be the jewel to look out for in the whole game.
Yeah, I think it's a huge game for both teams, Ursula, because of all those factors that Anthony has laid out. Just the learnings for both of them. Kylie smarting after not potentially getting the win, as Rory said, maybe a game that they should have won, but also I think for Liam Cahill, just to know really where his team are.
Well, this is going to be the biggest test so far this year for Liam Cahill. And, the last time they were in Gaelic grounds, as I said, it was a 15-point loss to Limerick, who were probably only playing in third gear. So, like, he was hurting that day big time. And look, one thing that's brilliant to see from a Tipp point of view, Seamus Kennedy's back in the fold, because it was the league game between Limerick and Tipp last year where he did his cruciate. So it's great to see the likes of him coming back. But Limerick, some of the positives from them, with some of the new guys, Aidan O'Connor was quite good at times. Patrick O'Donovan chipped in with a few points as well. So again, the competition for places is a massive thing for Limerick. And, what better for them to see how they're going to do against Tipperary then on Sunday as well. But I think it's going to be a fantastic game, and there won't be any love lost between the two, because Tipp will probably be still hurting a little bit from that, kind of humiliating defeat last year in the championship. So they'll definitely set their stall on Sunday and see how they get on.
And a lot more to come from Shane O'Brien as well, I would suggest, Jacqui. I was watching that game Dalo mentioned earlier, Mary I against DCU. It was a big win for DCU, by the way. Massive win. I know, like DCU is this huge university and Mary I is really small, but DCU in a hurling context wouldn't necessarily have a great pedigree in this competition. So for them to make a semi-final and knock out the defending champions, albeit at home, but Shane O'Brien scored 11 points last night. Some of the scores. Now, a good lot from frees, but some of the points he scored, just absolutely gorgeous stuff. This guy is a real player.
Jeremy Mellerick did well on him last week, Rory.
He did. But Jeremy Mellerick, if Jeremy Mellerick stays injury-free, Jeremy Mellerick will start in the Cork half back line come championship day.
I even liked him in that 3 role, though, I have to say.
Yeah.
I thought he just defended him well, O'Brien did get to scatter a ball out in front of him, but he, did the right things, good basic defending. I actually agree with you. I think there's a place there for him if he's fully fit.
In that full back line, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. They've got a bit of time off to think about it. So Cork do over the next couple of weeks. Let's finish off on 1B then, because Offaly Antrim, it seems to me, Rory, the game of the weekend in terms of where they're testing out of where they are. I think like Antrim, particularly getting that win last weekend after what would have been a big setback against Dublin. I think this is a nice test for Davy to see what has he got and can he mix it with a team who would be similar to themselves.
A good test for both sides. It was a pretty chastening experience, I would suggest, for Antrim on week one. For Dublin to give them, as Dalo, I think the word Dalo mentioned, a licking, which I loved it on the show on League Sunday, and that's exactly what they got. So they bounced back last week with a really good win at home to Westmeath. This obviously is like this. We were speaking earlier on about formats and context and where teams are at. This is a really key game in Division 1B, and I think it'll be a key game for both teams. I suppose the unfortunate thing is we don't generally get to see a huge amount of these teams just by virtue. Now, this weekend, I think we'll get to see a lot more because hurling has the old dance floor to itself. But it's going to be a really good signpost on the Davy project on where Antrim are at, and can they be one of the teams to jump in and get that other promotion spot, maybe go up into 1A hurling. As things stand in this division, despite even Carlow's victory over Waterford last week, you'd probably suggest Waterford and Dublin are still the front runners. But there could be a few twists and turns along the way yet, and maybe one of them could happen this weekend in O'Connor Park.
Do you think, Anthony, whoever wins this game is genuinely in the shout for promotion?
Well, you're definitely saying if Offaly win it, they're really, really in it because they'll be unbeaten from the 3 games, and that point against Carlow.
Yeah.
The great Mouse Kavanagh went back and scored as his trademark. That still could be a crucial point in the league table for the Offaly guys. Look, Davy was under strength going to Croke Park. There's no doubt about that. Now, you couldn't say Dublin were at full strength either without the Nafina crew and all that. But like even getting Keelan Malloy and Sean Elliott back up front made such a difference last week. Now, we don't know how well Westmeath is. Was there any form because their match was called off the first week? But just they need them all, really. And they'll be delighted to get off the mark. And this is a real tester now. It's down in Tullamore. You know, Johnny Kelly has done a good, solid job at Offaly bringing through these boys. You Dan Ravenhill back fully fit. He had a few 4 or 5 points in play, I think. Brian Dignan came back in and hit the freeze and got 2 or 3 from play. So there's no sign of a screeny yet. Probably be doing a Shane O'Donnell with him too, Jacqui. But you know,
he's too young now to be minding himself.
He's still under 20 this year, Dale.
I know, yeah, but I say he'll see action in the Leinster Championship. Yeah. But look, they are starting to really come through, these guys now. So huge test of Antrim, I think. And Antrim really, if they lose it, that's probably promotion highly unlikely, because I think if the Dubs get the Nafina boys back, they will be the strongest. I think what I saw Carlow with the 2 results they've had and the job, the unity Tom Mullally has brought to 2 clubs and a couple of helping clubs. And the bond between those guys, they have the weekend off to have a look, and Waterford will need to get up and running at home to Laois. So you'd expect they probably would, but the game is in Tullamore really from that division to really see where it's going to leave both teams at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just so tight, Ursula. Like you're looking at it, Offaly, Carlow both on 3 points, Dublin, Antrim on 2 points, Waterford, Laois, Westmeath needing something. But because because even as you said at the very outset, every single point matters because this table is so tight. And that's why I think this game this weekend is going to separate somebody from the top side from the bottom.
Yeah, and like, you know, as Dalo said, if Offaly get the win, you know, they're unbeaten, and then they're going into the next round playing Dublin away, which is going to be a tough assignment for Offaly. So how good would it be in terms of further confidence and momentum going into that game if they were unbeaten? It's going to be a huge test. It's also going to be, you know, I think Offaly and Antrim are playing each other in Tullamore in the championship in the final round as well. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see, will there be any, you know, holding back or anything? I don't think there will be. You know, Davy has no love lost for Offaly either, and will want to get the win against them. But, you know, they got back on track the last day against Westmeath, and obviously the few guys coming back into the team for Antrim were massive. And then obviously James McNaughton is shooting the lights out with his frees and from open play. But it's just getting some of the other guys around him, you know, up to that level as well. And they're not the finished article yet. I think Davy will bring the best out of Antrim and in how they play. But look, for me, Offaly, you would expect that. It's in Tullamore. They've got huge confidence from even beating Laois the last day, because it's never easy to beat Laois away. And they'll have huge confidence from that. And, we all see how Offaly are progressing over the last couple of years. So for me, I think Offaly might just edge it on Sunday.
I think, Jacqui, it's nearly like a championship match for Offaly, for Johnny in one way, in that Davy still maybe expect to pick up a couple of wins, top of last week's, pick up one more at least to be safe. But I'd say Johnny is safe if he wins this one. And for their progress, 1B isn't the worst place to be in, with a shot of maybe pulling off another shock to get on to 7 points, which would nearly put you on the final. So I think, they'll really target this. He has Shamie Callanan along with Brendan Maher in with him now up there. So they'll be saying that this is a massive game for them to get to 5, which probably would leave you safe.
Yeah. Interesting times ahead in 1B as well. So Offaly, Antrim, Waterford, Laois and Westmeath, Dublin are 3 games in that one. Lads, we'll leave it there for the weekend. Enjoy the matches. Where are you off to at the weekend, Anthony?
I am on the Sunday night show. I got a late call up. Someone cried off, so I got the call. I'm on the long day inside the torture having to watch hurling.
So will you be? If Clare are beaten, will you be playing the Portsmouth on TV as well on Sunday?
I look forward to that.
Well, if the line out is what I'm hearing it might be, I won't have to.
Right.
We'll tell Joanne to have the little violin. We'll have her sorted. Yeah. And Ursula, I presume you're going to Wexford Park to go and watch that one, are you?
Yeah, I'm working for it on Saturday evening on the telly. So look,
very good.
Hopefully we'll have a good game.
Excellent. Well, look forward to watching you both on the telly over the weekend. Have fun. And myself and Rory will be back next week as we review it all. Wherever you get your podcast, don't forget to like and follow. And we'll chat to you next week.
Dublin lead by a point, and there's the whistle. It's over.